What's happening, YouTube? What's up? So this one's gonna be about George Clinton's influences musically. When you think about one of the most important producers and band leaders ever, and one of the most important bands ever in Parliament Funkadelic, and his handprints on so much, you gotta kind of wonder who inspired him. Stop, pump, hold the brakes, and look back in the rear view, because this guy uh, has had such an imprint on so much of modern dance and groove based music and just and other styles too, because it wasn't just limited. But you think of the funk, you think of George Clinton. But this gonna be very interesting when you make the discoveries of certain things. Won't be surprising at all if you listen to early funkadelic records, if you understand Eddie Hazel or Michael Hampton, and if you listen to certain tones of Bootsy Collins, etc. It's gonna be very interesting. For some, it's gonna be pretty predictable. But I'm gonna give you some of the influences. He mentioned Frank Zappa. That was an interesting one because Zappa's styling was kind of over the place. It was interesting hybrid of musical styles. George Duke played there. It's way before George Duke was doing strictly basically funk and R&B records. It was a different styling as an artistry with Frank Zappa, a different musical hybrid and artistry. But um, you could see you definitely certain things that the Parliament did. Certain things you could see. He mentioned Cream, the sonic boom on the guitars and the volume and the vibe. You could see that. He mentioned the Beatles. There was his songwriting on Motown. I would say, like, I want to testify. Like, if you go his early songwriting, which was pretty more straightforward, people forget that man was a really good songwriter. I mean, you know, it became more than just sing along anthems, because actually there was a sing along and a vibe with him, but that was really something. So you could see that. Now let's get to the obvious ones. Jimi Hendrix, because that fusion of blues and R&B and pop, and then this organic, bombastic guitar and the screams and the vocals that would echo that, and the stylings, you could definitely see a strong Jimi Hendrix experience, and that whole totality, that richness, that engagedness, that rawness, that boldness. You could definitely understand why he was alluding to that. Definitely a strong influence. And Jimi Hendrix is felt on so many artists 60 plus years later that, you know, he did the thing. Then the Irish one next to Sly Stone. Well, that's another one that's just like that with Jimi Hendrix, because you can't really talk about modern R&B music, and of course with the documentary